One. Here we go!
Good day, viewers, and welcome back to another edition of We Talk. I am, of course, Precious Ntelamo, and I must say we have quite an interesting episode lined out today. We, of course, speak to Gabriel Ntelamo, who is a NUS student and the producer of a student film that's coming out on the 20th of April. And then we stop by Suzy, Seha's Sen Den, and she gives us a few breathing points and some yoga lessons as well. But before we get into that, first the news. In today's news edition, we have climate finance training for developing a project proposal. Gone are the days when Namibia relied mostly on external and international experts to develop bankable project proposals. With the accreditation of the Environmental Investment Fund of Namibia to the Green Climate Fund in 2016 and subsequent re-accreditation in October 2021, a new window of opportunity has opened for more entities seeking accreditation and access to climate change projects. As the National Designated Authority for Climate Finance, the Ministry of Environment, Forestry and Tourism strives to strengthen the national capacity of coordinating the implementation of GCF funding in the country. Thus far, the NDA has nominated 4 entities for accreditation to the GCF Bank Windhoek, the Development Bank of Namibia, the Agricultural Bank and the Namibia Nature Foundation. The rationale for nominating these entities is based on the fact that the DBN, once accredited, would potentially access financing for larger climate change infrastructure investments such as renewable energy and resilient infrastructures, amongst other areas of development focus. Bank Windhoek would potentially access finance from private sector facility under the GCF for on-lending to the private sector possibility similar to that of the Sunref project that was administered through EIF, that provided a line credit to the tune of 45 million euros to green finance, climate resilience and improve self-sufficiency in terms of energy through the banking system and for the private sector. The Agricultural Bank of Namibia would potentially access finance for on-lending in the agricultural sector in the NNF, one of the oldest environmental non-governmental organizations in the country, who take up access to finance in the ecosystem management and most importantly occupy the micro category should EIF upgrade to small category. Despite the country's leadership being able to obtain international climate finance and due to limited institutional and technical capacities prevailing in local institutions, nominated entities are unable to complete accreditation requirements as per GCF standards and provide the needed services for accessing climate finance. In the long term, this will affect the scale at which Namibia can access climate finance and implement its NDC and contribute to the global goal of the 1.5 degrees Celsius temperature. As such, the country needs to strengthen the competencies, skills and procedures of the identified entities so that further projects can be developed and contribute towards the NDC's goals. It is against this background that the NDA established a climate financing group whose key collective responsibility is to develop bankable projects proposals in fulfillment of the NDC targets. One of the key partners in this capacity building program is the Towards an Inclusive Design of the Renewable Energy Transition Project, an initiative led by the EIF under the Climate Change and Inclusive Use of Natural Resources project. As part of its key objectives, the project aims to facilitate the formulation of evidence-based gender-sensitive projects and business models for climate action. and subsequently facilitates stakeholder dialogues with the private or public sector to support investment into climate action at various platforms. Welcome viewers to another edition of We Talk. It is of course time for our We interview, and I am seated here with Gabriel Ntelamo, who is one of the producers of a student film, right? Gabriel,
Yes.
How are you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
No, I'm fine. I'm actually very excited to be seated here next to you, and I can't wait to get into more of this film. So can you just tell us a little bit about it?
Well, the film it's a student life film.
Okay.
It's a film that takes place on campus, whereby you get to see the lifestyle and the reality of a student, and basically what events they go through and academics that they endure as a first-year student. That's what the movie is all about.
What inspired this movie? I know it's something that as students we go through, but apart from that, what exactly inspired this movie?
Okay, so the inspiration behind the movie is the sustainability goals, which is 4 and 5. That is quality education and gender equality. Quality education because the setting of the movie takes place at NUST, and what we try to emphasize is everyone deserves an opportunity to quality education. So we make use of the student services that are offered at NUST, such as career guidance. You know, when I was a first year, I was studying marketing, but you know, I didn't really know the emphasis on why am I studying marketing.
Yeah.
So in the movie, you get scenarios whereby career guidance counseling is involved, and that's how we actually try to put out the use of quality education that is offered by the institution. And then secondly, gender equality. What we try to emphasize is all men and women deserve equal opportunities. That is regarding to employment, regarding to education, as well as knowledge. So in the movie, we generally focused on women's health, whereby we would like to provide more information and awareness to women on how to prevent situations of cancer. For example, making awareness of the pap smear campaigns to prevent cervical cancer, and much more information that is actually being discussed in the movie, which I cannot.
Of course, we don't want to sell the whole movie now and give it away. But also, I would like for us to just get a little on what we can expect in the movie. I know you said it's student life and also focusing more on gender equal roles and so forth and opportunities. But if I am a student now and I switch on the screen and the movie plays, what can I expect? Am I expecting to see myself in certain situations? Will I be able to relate to what is being portrayed in the movie?
Yes, but of course. You know, the movie is a dramatic genre, just to let you know. It focuses on a select group of students who are privileged, basically entitled, and they take their academics for granted, whereby another group of students are, you know, basic and content on how they go about their day-to-day activities. However, they are the ones who are actually acing their academics. They are the ones who are doing well in school. So throughout the whole movie, you get to see the consequences of the actions that each of them take and how it actually relates and changes their lifestyle, you know? So yeah, and on top of that, we've also added we've added a couple of scenes around Windhoek in the local areas, such as, having Kapana, for example, or even there by the hills and looking at the marvelous scenery views of the city, as well as a few parts of nature. So that's what you can expect. And on top of that, it's like a DIY film, We filmed this with cameras and phones. So it's magnificent on the type of quality that we actually captured, which I would like you guys to actually have a look at.
Well, that sounds very interesting, but I know a movie is not something that you just can do overnight, or that comes easily, or that gets done easily. So how has the process been?
Sure. Let me just say this. It's very draining and it requires a lot of consistency. So the process of filming a movie is you need to have a goal. You need to have a vision. You need to have a message of value that you're trying to portray in a film. And by doing that, it takes a very long procedure on how to get it done. Do you want to involve third parties? Do you want to talk about a situation that's happening in like the social areas, or do you just want to prove a point? There's so many aspects that makes it free for you to come up with a story or a film that you'd like to get out there. So as for me, it took about 7 months.
Is that to draft the storyline or to put the whole film together?
To draft the storyline, put the whole film together, and as you keep going, you see, okay, this didn't work out. It's time to think of another situation on how we can make it work. More like, what's the right word to put it? The right word is having an action plan. It's like finding if plan A doesn't work, then you have to work with plan B. So that's a lot of setbacks happen, and you just need to be consistent through it all. Those are the main keys of the long process of having it.
Now I understand, if I'm not mistaken, you are still a student, right?
Yes, I'm still a student.
At NUST?
Yes, at NUST.
So this movie is shot at NUST?
Yes.
So being a student, how did you manage to fund this film?
Well, I'd like to give a big token of appreciation to NUST and to my departments involved with bringing the film together. They funded the film through the resources such as equipment, as well as the establishing and setup of the various locations that we have used in the movie. Exotic locations. Trust me, you wouldn't even believe this is like student life because of the amount of innovation and creativity that we've involved in the film. So through funding, it was basically through the institution with the equipment, making it possible to bring about the vision that I had installed for the whole story.
So great assistance from your institution as well.
Yes, very supportive, and I'm grateful that now the ordeal is done and it's ready for everyone to watch.
Well, I think this will definitely be a movie that all students are looking forward to seeing and relating to what's happening, and seeing that a part of what they're going through is actually being portrayed in a film. So their message gets across as well. But I think that adds on to the excitement. And please share with us when the film is going to be released.
The film is going to be released on the 20th of April, and it will be held at NUST.
That's quite soon.
Yeah, it's quite soon, but I mean, you gotta live in the moment.
7 months of hard work, better late than never.
Yes, better late than never.
No, I agree. But Gabriel, I think that's it from our conversation today. Is there anything you would like to add on for our viewers?
Well, one thing I'd like to add to the viewers before you watch this movie is the overall message of the movie is to basically give a wake-up call to students out there who are confused or who are anxious about what they're studying. And the overall message from the movie is, I don't know if I can really give this, not necessarily a spoiler, but like a mindset approach. The mindset approach of this movie is to accept failure. Because once you accept failure, you are able to find a stepping stone on how you can come back, come up with a comeback plan. And once you come up with a comeback plan, then you are able to prosper. Because if you're able to accept that you failed, then don't take it as a situation of your world has come to an end. Rather, take it as another opportunity to conquering any task that you go through. Because, like I always say, it can be nothing but the best. It can be nothing but the worst. But through the highs and the lows, if you keep your faith, you'll be able to strive through it all. And that is what I have to say to all of you.
I think that was a very insightful ending to this beautiful interview that we had. Thank you so much for your time, Gabriel. We definitely will be keeping our eyes locked on the screen on the 20th of April. But yes, thank you for being here today. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you. You too.
Welcome back, viewers. We are in a beautiful and extremely calming Zen day today, and next to me I have Suzy Seha. Suzy, how are you?
Thank you, Precious. I am very well, thank you. Yeah, how are you?
No, I'm excited. I'm glad to be here today. I can't wait to get into what you have planned for us today. But before we get into it, can you just tell us a little bit more about yourself and what we have here?
All right, yes, I'd love to. Here we are in my studio in Windhoek Central, and in the studio I teach yoga, meditation, breath work and mindfulness, and I do various energetic treatments. When I say energetic, I do sound journeys and transformational breathwork sessions and chakra balancing. So maybe those things sound a little foreign to you, but they're all wonderful and they make you feel fantastic.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. I know we don't have much knowledge about, the breathing and so forth. So are you going to take us a little bit into that today?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. I'll tell you a little bit about yoga, breathing, anything you want to know.
Yes, so why is it so important to have your breathing controlled during the whole process? Why is it important to take a moment and just...
Well, because breathing can change our states.
Okay.
So by what I mean by saying breathing can change our state is that even though breathing is something that happens automatically, you don't have to remind yourself to breathe. Your body automatically knows that it's going to breathe you. But at the same time, you can actually change your breathing to change the way the body responds and reacts and how you feel. So we can calm ourselves with breathing, we can bring balance, and we can stimulate. And we can actually do some really amazing transformational breath work where we can release tension and trauma that has been stored within the body and that you subconsciously hold on to.
Yeah.
And so breathing is, besides it's life-giving, it's extremely powerful. So it's also a tool that we all have within us all the time. You need nothing else, just you and your breath. So it's accessible to everybody.
I definitely think that's quite interesting.
Yeah, very interesting.
So what practices do you have for us today? Just a few things to recommend to our viewers.
Right, for breathing, you want to know for breathing or for yoga?
Let's start with breathing and then we'll go into yoga.
Breathing. Well, first of all, the most important thing is that we have to breathe correctly, because that can really change the health. So we have to breathe through our noses.
Okay.
You can exhale through the mouth. That is calming, and I'll get there. But on a daily basis, if you just check in with yourself throughout the day and just notice, are you breathing through your mouth or are you breathing through your nose? And you should be breathing through your nose with your tongue resting on the hard palate behind the teeth, the upper teeth. That is going to be optimal health. They've done little research experiments where they've blocked off the nose and made people breathe through the mouth for 2 weeks only, and their health deteriorated enormously. And then they switched and they only breathed through the nose, and obviously the health came back up again. Our nose is designed for breathing. So I want you to all to check in with yourselves and see, are you breathing through your nose or your mouth? And actually, a lot of people breathe through their mouth at night, you know, snoring. If someone is snoring really badly, you know they're breathing through their mouth.
Yeah.
And so a practice that we actually do is taking a little bit of tape, like that you put over a wound, like transport.
Okay.
That's the name of the tape. And you take just a little bit, you stick it over your mouth to train yourself to not, you can still, you know, open the sides of the mouth, so it's not like over your mouth. It's not claustrophobic. And to train yourself to breathe through the mouth, through the nose at night. Okay. So that's my first tip. And then a go-to breath that we can all use to bring ourselves back into a state of balance. So when you're nervous, when you're really sad, when you're really angry, when you're really upset, when you're crying uncontrollably, when you just need to bring yourself back, this breath is your go-to breath, and you can teach it to anyone. Children respond really well to it, and everyone can do it. Before a meeting, before a date, before an exam, when someone's upset you, bring your hand to your heart, and we're going to breathe in through our nose and a long, slow exhale through softly pursed lips. So in other words, like you're softly blowing out a candle. Okay. So it'll be like this. Let's take a breath in through the nose. So we would do a minimum of 3, but up to 10 and as many as you need. Okay. And this physically changes how we are. So it'll slow our heart rate down. The vagus nerve picks up this message saying that you're chilled, she's calm, she's feeling good, so everything comes back to normal. And it literally works. Okay. And so that is simple and easy and doesn't take too much to remember. So
and that's all from a breathing technique.
A couple of breaths. I mean, you literally can bring yourself back into this balanced state just with the breathing. You don't need anything special except your breath.
Okay, and for yoga, what tips do you have for us?
Anybody can do yoga. It is accessible to any body. You don't have to be and look a certain way to do yoga. You do not have to be flexible. It's like saying, like when people say, oh, I don't do yoga, I'm not flexible. It's like saying, I'm not going to eat because I'm full, or something opposite. Maybe that wasn't said quite correctly, but you know what I mean.
Yes.
You don't do it because you're already it. You do it to get there, and it's not about the end point. It's about the journey along the way as well. Okay. And so, really listening to your body and giving yourself a little bit of time. So it can very often be a lesson in acceptance and non-judgment and self-love as you work through your journey in yoga. Anybody can do it. And again, you do not need anything fancy. You need some loose fitting clothes so you can move. You could have a mat, but you know, a mat doesn't make the yoga. And so that would be my first thing, is give it a try. If you do not have access to a studio, but you do have access to online, there are lots of videos online that you can follow. There's some really, really good ones with all different levels of classes. Just give it a try. It is a beautiful practice. I got into it because I was looking for a form of exercise that I would keep up. Because I'm actually a creative person, not a sporty person. And I tried all sorts of things, and it was always a big effort. And then I tried yoga, and I felt different. And now I teach yoga, so clearly it felt very different.
It felt really different.
Yeah.
Different good, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely.
But thank you so much for having us, Suzy. That was quite insightful, a little information to take away from us. So we definitely recommend that you guys make a stop by. This is actually the one of them, and the other one is in Clement, correct? Yeah. But thank you for having us.
Pleasure. Thank you.
Three. what a short week it was, with the weekend hitting us much faster than usual. This weekend, starting on Friday, Kalkveld Farmers Association hosts the 2023 Agri Mega Day with exhibitions and demonstrations, followed by Family Day fun run and ride, exhibitions and a game auction. At 7 on Friday, Canadian blues legend Doc McLean performs at the Wolf Shack in Windhoek. And at 7:30, the Umbetya Yahinga Dance Organization celebrates their birthday with a challenge: 20 hours of dancing at the Franco-Namibian Cultural Center. Entrance is free and you can dance if you want. On Saturday, the Windhoek Afrikaanse Privaat School hosts dragon boat races at the Seha Lodge with lots of prizes up for grabs. And at 7, Canadian blues legend Doc McLean performs for a second time, but this time at Goodfellas, also in the capital. On Sunday at 5, Italian duo Cello and Canino present a flute and piano concert hosted by the Italian Cultural Institute of Pretoria in the National Theatre of Namibia. Entrance is free as well. If you haven't seen it yet, Descending into Gloom, a solo exhibition by Alex Bruch, can be viewed at the Namibian Arts Association until the 20th, while the Bukadu Stories by Lynette Nosakobili continues at the project room until the 25th. An Ode to the Masters is currently running at the National Art Gallery, while Cutting the Flame of Curiosity, a ceramics and collage exhibition by Andrea Hostemke and Anne Lach-Eine-Kuhn, is exhibited at the Bell House Atelier and Gallery. Have a great weekend!
Well, there you guys have it, and that was it for today's episode of We Talk. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys took away from the breathing lessons that we had and the yoga stretches that we witnessed, as well as noting down in your calendar for that film, Student Life film, that's about to broadcast soon. But that was it for today's edition of We Talk. Thank you.
2, 1.
Here we go!